I hit send, and the moment I did, I knew something was wrong. I had copied the address, I had checked it, or I thought I had checked it. But somewhere between copying and pasting, something had changed, and the Bitcoin was already moving. There is no cancel button. There is no undo. There is no phone number to call. Once a Bitcoin transaction is broadcast to the network, it is gone. Where it goes is where it goes. I'm Satz. This is the story of the most expensive lesson I have ever learned about paying attention. Let me take you back to exactly what happened, because the details matter here, and because the way this mistake happens is almost always the same. I was sending a payment, not huge, but enough to hurt. Enough that losing it would genuinely hurt. I had the recipient's address. I copied it from a message they had sent me. I pasted it into the wallet. I glanced at the first few characters, they looked right, and I hit send. What I did not do was check the full address. What I did not know at the time was that there is a type of malware called a clipboard hijacker. It sits silently on a computer, watches for anything that looks like a cryptocurrency address being copied, and replaces it with a different address the moment you paste. The address I saw in the recipient field was not the one I had copied. It was close enough at a glance that I did not notice. It was not close enough to matter. The transaction confirmed in about 10 minutes. I sent the recipient a message to let them know the payment was on its way. They replied almost immediately. They had not received anything. I opened the Block Explorer. I found my transaction. I followed the receiving address. The Bitcoin had arrived somewhere, just not where I intended. I spent the next 2 hours doing everything I could think of. I contacted my wallet provider. They explained correctly that they had no ability to reverse a confirmed transaction. I looked into whether the receiving address could be traced to anyone. It could not in any way that would help me. I posted in a Bitcoin community asking if anyone had heard of a recovery mechanism I might not know about. There is no recovery mechanism. This is the part I didn't understand at the time. Here is the thing that took me a long time to fully accept. And it is the thing I most want you to understand. Bitcoin transactions are irreversible by design. This is not a bug or an oversight. It is a feature. The reason Bitcoin works as a trustless payment system, it is precisely because no central authority can reach into the blockchain and move funds around after the fact. If transactions could be reversed, they could be reversed by anyone with enough power or authority. The irreversibility is what makes Bitcoin's security model work. That same irreversibility is what made my mistake permanent. So what should I have done differently? And this is the part that matters most practically. First, always check the full address before sending. Not the first 4 characters, not the last 4. The full address, or at minimum enough of it to be confident that what you are seeing is what you copied. Most wallets display the address in a format where you can scroll through or expand it. Use that. Second, send a small test transaction first when sending to a new address for the first time. This is standard practice among experienced Bitcoin holders. Send a tiny amount, confirm it arrives at the right place, and then send the full amount. The fee for a test transaction is a few cents. The cost of skipping it can be much higher. Third, be aware that clipboard hijacking malware exists. It is not hypothetical. It is actively used to steal cryptocurrency. On a computer you use for Bitcoin transactions, keeping your operating system and security software updated matters. Some hardware wallets display the recipient address on the device screen itself before you confirm, which provides an additional check against clipboard attacks because the address shown on the device is the one the wallet has actually registered, not whatever is on your clipboard. Fourth, never send from a device or network you do not trust. A public computer, a shared device, an unfamiliar network. These all increase the risk of your clipboard or your session being compromised. Here is the harder lesson, the one that sits underneath all of the practical steps. Bitcoin places the responsibility for your own security entirely on you. No bank, no customer service department, no fraud team, no regulator, just you, the address you are sending to, and the irreversible network. That is both what makes Bitcoin powerful and what makes carelessness expensive. I do not tell this story to frighten you away from Bitcoin. I tell it because knowing this risk exists and knowing the specific steps that prevent it is the difference between using Bitcoin safely and using it carelessly. I used it carelessly once. I have not since. Let's bring it together. Bitcoin transactions are irreversible. Once confirmed, there is no cancel, no undo, no recovery mechanism of any kind. Where it goes is where it goes. Clipboard hijacking malware is real. It replaces a copied address with a different one at the moment of pasting. Always check the full address in the wallet before sending, not just the first or last few characters. Send a small test transaction first when sending to a new address. Confirm it arrives, then send the full amount. Keep your device and security software updated. Consider a hardware wallet that displays the recipient address on the device screen before you confirm. The responsibility for every transaction sits entirely with you. That is not a warning designed to frighten you. It is the reality of using a system that gives you complete control. Complete control means complete responsibility. If you don't fully understand what actually happens after you hit send, that's where mistakes like this start. The video on what actually happens when you send Bitcoin covers the full process. Watch that next. Stack smart, stay curious. See you in the next stack.